All right, so welcome back to another episode of Back Half Hustle with Terri Kelley and myself, Matthew Soto. So, Terri, what are we talking about today?
We are going to talk today about systems and processes. As a real estate agent, when you get started, you don't really learn a lot of systems. You're kind of just drinking from the well and just getting what you can. But what we've learned in building up the business that we have now is that you have to have specific processes for everything or you will get lost. And so I think that's an important topic to touch on today.
Definitely, right? Because as new agents, they don't teach us, oh, you got to have processes. They teach us how to show a house, maybe, right? But they don't teach us how to
Do
implement
they?
the theme. They don't teach us what we
They
got to
don't even teach you that anymore, do they?
through, right? Depending on the brokerage you're at, they don't, right? Or the team that you're on, they probably don't, right? They definitely don't teach that in real estate school, I'll tell you that much. That's
Right.
just pass the exam, right? And get your license. Then it's time, well, what do I got to do to get business? And so that's where you got to look for the right brokerage or the right team or the right mentors to actually sit down and give you some time to help you teach things, right? Like I have an agent now who she just got new and she was like, "Hey, I just went to my MLS orientation, but they didn't teach me anything." They actually scared a bunch of agents and agents were leaving that class to say, "I don't even want to be a realtor anymore." And I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's crazy." So we took the time to sit her down and kind of walk her and navigate through the MLS, how to open a lockbox. She's come to showings with me and how I show houses, right? And we have that all broken down into what we call SOPs, right? And so, what is maybe one of your favorite systems or processes or SOPs that you utilize to train your agents? Because you have a team out there. So, what do you utilize for things like that?
So I actually connected with a gentleman by the name of Chris Giannis that I met through the TF Ecosphere. And he made me realize that there are things so simple as people don't know how to set up their voicemail, or they don't know how to like you said, MLS, or even open the lock boxes. Because, I mean, come on, the first time you had to go out, you were freaked out. So, why are we not training those things and thinking of that? But I think it goes a lot deeper. So, with my team, I have a system set up in my CRM, which is Follow Up Boss, and it tells me you should be doing this and you should be doing this. And so we categorize people correctly. We have follow ups that are built into that. And I think if you're starting in real estate, you don't want to spend a whole lot of money. You have to have some sort of a system, right? You have to have a CRM. How do you know who's biting at something if you don't have anything kicking it back to you? The other thing I think is we could go so deep into they going on social media and making videos and doing all these things. But again, if you don't got a system in place to capture all that stuff that comes through, you're going to sink. So I think the first and most important one is going to be your CRM, whatever you choose to use. What do you think?
No, yeah, CRM is great, right? You have to have a CRM, and for those who don't know what a CRM is, it stands for a customer relationship management system. It stands for, different think terms of that, but it's essentially you putting all your contacts in there and you utilize the CRM to help you do your daily tasks of what you're trying to do and things like that. If you have a robust CRM like Follow Up Boss or we use Lofty, within that you can create different checklists, which quote unquote would could use as your SOP for whatever it is that you're doing. So for instance, I would share my screen, but I don't want to mess it up. So I'll just kind of walk through it. So like
Okay.
we have a checklist for a checklist template built into our CRM for open houses, right? So what does that mean? So it basically says, okay, well, we got to schedule time and date with the hosting agent. So whether I'm hosting it or maybe we have an agent partner who's going to host that open house with us, we got to figure out the days and the times they want to do it, right? Then we got to make sure that the seller's on board with it. Say, hey, we want to host the open house this Sunday from 12 to 2. Are you okay with that? Great, because sometimes if the listing isn't vacant, they got to get out and, make sure they can give us access to the house for those time periods. Then it's schedule that time and date into the MLS. Then it's create the calendar appointment for the agent with the listing flyer, right? Then it's creating all these marketing materials about the open house. Then after that, we got to create the Facebook event for the open house. Then we create a reminder post the day before the open house. And then obviously we try to ask for feedback and then we email the feedback to the sellers, right? So it's as simple as just creating the checklist of the steps that you got to do every time you do an open house. That's what we follow. And there's times where we may add things, we may take things out, but we have a checklist for it. And so, like you mentioned, there should be a checklist for all kinds of things, even simple
Everything.
tasks of how do you set up your voicemail. So, hey, as a new agent, what should you do? New agents think, I need a website, I need business cards, I need, this. It's like, whoa, 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 pump the brakes. Have you changed your
Right.
voicemail? Have you told people that? No. Well, maybe that should be one of the first steps, right? Maybe setting up your email signature, maybe, different things like that. As an agent, you want to set up these checklists for everything you do, but the only way you can do it is by logging or taking notes of what you're doing on a daily basis, you know?
And you think about it too, and when you first get in, you're thinking, okay, I'm going to go day to day to day, and then you never know where you're going to be in a year. And if you come in and you come in strong and you come in by yourself and you don't set any of this stuff up, and then you need to bring someone in to help you or to teach you how you do it. Well, now you're going to take the time and the energy to do that. Personally, we've learned that we use something called Loom. It's a recording software. You can also do a Zoom or whatever, but record the steps, record the conversations because then it's there. So for me, we've created it's called a flow code, and it's basically like a flip book that you can go through.
Mhm.
And it says, okay, you're in. Now, here's day one. Click the link, there's a video. This is what you need to do for today. You need to set up your voicemail. You need to set up your email. You need to get with marketing and get your name tags ordered or whatever the case may be. Those are the simple steps. But that's just for the onboarding process. When we talk about here's how to work the CRM, well, that's where it gets a lot more granular. And a lot of people find it tedious. They don't want to do it. But I promise you, getting it set up is hard. Learning it is hard. But losing a client where you might have made 3 to 5 thousand or better, that's even harder. So
Yeah.
take the time, sit back, set your systems up, do the work so that the work is easier. You talked about open houses and the flows. So you should also have that on your buyer strategy list, on your seller strategy list. Like, what's your game plan when you go to that listing and you're trying to preach why you should get that listing, and you say, "Oh, I don't have this system in place." You're unorganized in their eyes. So why do they choose you? So personally, again, I try to go back to the systems that I have in play. I set up a system that people know who I am before I come there. And did it happen right away? No, it didn't. But I had to learn the hard way when I started losing deals to why didn't they call me? Well, they didn't know.
Yeah.
They didn't know what I was capable of because I wasn't telling anybody what I could do. They just guessed.
Yeah.
So again, on my CRM also, it sends out automations things. Like every now and again, it'll just send them a message and go, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, thanks." It obviously doesn't just say that, but there's just different messages behind it.
Yeah.
And so I think that's important because that'll keep you top of mind.
Yeah, so for instance, like you mentioned, when you go on listing strategies or buyer strategies, you got to have an SOP. So I'm going to try to share my screen real quick and see if I can get it to work. To kind of just share one of my SOPs that I kind of just put together for this call. Obviously, we add different things into it depending on what we're doing for the listings, but it's as simple as, like this, where can you see my screen? Smart listing. So it's like, okay, so we have a team. So obviously the agent when we go on an appointment, obviously we set the listing appointment, we launch the SOP Smart Plan. We email our database already and say, hey, we're going on a listing appointment in this neighborhood and we think it's going to be around this price. If you know of anybody who's looking into this area, let us know and we'll let you know all the details once we secure the listing and get it signed, right? Then it's like, okay, we create a post and post that on the social media, right? Then it's okay, then once we have the signed agreement, we email it to our TC, our transaction coordinator. Then what they do is they mail letters out. They schedule the pictures and the cleaning. They do neighbor only invites for the open house for that, right? Then it's about we go, Tuesday or Monday before going live, we door knock the open house invites. Then we host a neighborhood only. Then we print flyers. We email the database. So it's step by step, and it's as simple as a Google Doc or a Google Sheet that lists all this out. Or like we mentioned, where we do it as far as, you know, we put it into the CRMs that we're using, right? But you have to have standard operating procedures for everything you do, right? Especially you
So
as
let
a,
me ask you this. go ahead, not to
Yeah.
interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, go.
When you first started and someone said to hold an open house, if you're anything like me, you went and put a sign in the yard, you sat there and just prayed somebody walked through the door and nobody showed up and you're bored and you're like, why am I doing this? Now that you have those systems and processes in play, do you find that it actually brings more people in?
Yes, of course, because you have something to follow. You have a guideline. You have like what we call it, an SOP. You have a system that you're utilizing, and you have the process that you're going to do it with. And you're not just guessing and hoping, especially for listings. When we go on a listing appointment, right? Most average agents, they do what you said. They go, they get the listing signed, and then it's like, cool, let me just put a sign in the yard, a lockbox, put it into the MLS, and we're good to go. And we're going to pray that this house sells. Well, if they're not talking about when they're doing pictures or cleaning, when they're not scheduling the open house, if they're not, doing the Facebook, video, if they're not putting an ad out there, if they're not doing mailings, if they're not all these things that we do for listings, if they don't have it, they're either going to forget or they're going to do it too late when the listing's 30 days old. And then, oh, I forgot to send these letters out. I need to send them. It may be too late for that. So, having a system for open houses for anything that you do helps streamline the process. But on the plus side, not only does it give you direction of what to do for the things that you need to do, it also frees up your time. So you're not spending hours and hours and hours trying to figure things out. You can follow it, knock it out, then you move on to the next task of getting business or, going on appointments or things that, what we call our money making activities, right? You're not just figuring it out. We all know that an agent says they're busy all the time. They're crazy busy. We're busy, but you're not productive. That's why they're not selling
Right.
homes because they're spending their time trying to figure things out or do things and just wing it by not following a system and a process. And a week goes by and they didn't do any type of prospecting. They didn't do anything to go find new business. They didn't do anything to nurture the business they have already. And so that's why a lot of times agents aren't selling homes, right? And they're getting out of the business because they don't have systems to follow. They don't have processes.
But to be fair, they have to be surrounded by people that teach them those systems and processes too. So that's one thing I really like with us here at Real Broker is that we have so many videos and programs and things and mentors that are at your fingertips that you can go in and say, hey, I'm stuck, I don't know what to do, and all you got to do is ask and 100 people will come tell you, have you tried this, have you tried this, if not, let's put you on this. And so I can think back to when I was at my first brokerage. Same thing, and for me it was worse because I was part-time, and so you're trying to do real estate part-time. You don't have the 40 hours plus to set aside to learn. You're just kind of going at it as you go at it, and so definitely there's not anybody that's going to say, hey, let me help you. And so, and this was a long time ago. Things have evolved in the world now. But I truly believe you join a brokerage or you join a team or you join something that's going to give you that coaching and that mentorship right up front. Because if you go out there and you have no idea about real estate, you have no idea about transactions and processes, and you have no idea about contracts, you're sinking yourself.
Yeah.
It's great that you came into the business, but align yourself with somebody somewhere that you want to mimic. You want to be like them. Like
Yeah.
if I remember when I came in, there were two ladies in that brokerage, and they were just killing it. And I said, man, I want to be that. And I said, can I talk to you? Can you show me the way? And they literally told me no. They were like, nope, won't do that. And
Yeah.
so now it's like, okay, you want to know? Just ask. Just ask me, because there's no way in the world I would gatekeep the information. You're not going to steal any of my business. I promise you.
Yeah. Yeah, right. And in the beginning, there's still a lot of people out there, a lot of companies out there that are closed-minded where they haven't evolved and adapted and they still have that, or they nickel and dime you for everything that they want to teach you. It's like, hold on. I come here, you're taking a certain split from me, right? And then I also have to pay you to learn everything. It's like, whoa, that's freaking crazy. I learned that years ago where it finally hit me like, man, as a business owner in real estate, I'm wasting a lot of money. I need to find somewhere where it makes more financial sense for me to grow as a business. right?
Mhm.
And great companies out there. I'm not talking, everybody has their different flavor of tea, right? But it's like agents are so stuck where they're not getting what they need. They complain, but then they're not open to a change and stuff. And maybe it's because they've been burned one too many times, but that's why you go through interview processes. You're interviewing them as they're interviewing you to come join, right? Whether it's a team
Like,
or anything.
if you think about it, what made you choose the first brokerage you went to?
Man, I've been around, and so let me think. The first brokerage I went was a flat fee. It was, you know what? Let me get a flat fee, and I keep more money. But I learned nothing.
You get nothing. You
I got
get nothing.
you get nothing, and that's where it was, right? And that was one of the first ones, and then the second one was I joined a friend thinking they were going to help me, but they weren't. It was all about them, 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 them. So then I moved to a big box name, and it was great, and I drank the Kool-Aid. But then that's where I started figuring things out, like they're nickel and diming me when they should be helping me and elevating me in my business. And then it was like, nope. Then I switched. And so now I'm happy. I'm home. I'm in a collaborative spot, right? Me and you, we're across the US from different time zones, and we talk on a daily basis, and we're not benefiting
Motivate.
from each other, right? But the only benefit
We are because
we're
we
helping
are
each other.
benefiting from each other, not financially, but we're benefiting from each other
Yes,
because we bounce ideas off of each other,
exactly.
and
And that's
we're
what I
able
meant.
to
Yeah.
collaborate in that manner. I will tell you a quick background on me is that I started with the box brokerage, and the reason I went with them was because when before I ever got into real estate, I worked in an investment office, and his wife in Jacksonville, Florida, his wife worked for this brand, and they made it seem so elegant, and they made it seem so great, and I was like, man, that's what I want. But then you get in and you're like, again, I'm part time. I can't come to your training classes. And then when I do take the time to come to your training classes, you're teaching me contracts or you're telling me, hey, go email all your friends and tell them that you're in real estate. That's crap.
Yeah.
Why? Worlds have changed. We're not doing all that anymore. We're doing more social media and telling people our business. But again, you have to get around people that can teach you those things.
Yeah.
And ideally, you're getting around people that aren't just selling real estate. They've got their business built in real estate, and they built their brand and they built their things that genuinely get business to come at you.
Yep. So
So
Terry,
that's where it all falls back into SOPs again.
yep. So I have a question from someone. They said, well, I'm a solo agent. Do I even need these SOPs or systems and processes?
Yes, you do. You do. Again, you have to have a process for everything that you do. When we can take it back to the buyers, what if you don't sit down and have a buyer consultation? And then let's say you do. Do you know what to say? Do you know what to ask? Do you have any idea what you should be learning on that meeting? So you have to really set it out and play it out. And some people say scripting. I disagree. There's no set script. No meeting is the same. No person situation is the same. Your initial meeting should be getting to know the person that's sitting in front of you. That's it. Not trying to find out how many bedrooms and bathrooms, not trying to find out if they're pre-qualified. No, find out who they are, find out their reasons. And then once you know that, then you can get a little deeper. Okay, have you talked to a lender? No, great. I like it that you haven't talked to a lender because I don't believe you should. I believe you should come here and form this relationship with me and then let me help you figure out where you are. And and it works for me. It doesn't work for everybody, but that's how I believe in building my brand is I want to know who you are. You come in and you say, I want to buy a house. What does that look like? You have how much do you spend right now on rent? Well, I spend 500. Well, you and I know that they're not going to go from 500 to anything. So, okay, you spend 500. How much do you think you're going to be comfortable paying when you get a mortgage? Oh, I think I could do 1500. Really? That's a big jump. Um, let's see what your finances look like. Well, it doesn't look like you qualify because you got 700 on a car payment, you got this and you got that. Is that getting too personal? No, that's what you need to do. You need to have a system set up to where you know the lending process, you know the buying process, you know the closing process. It takes time to get there. But if you don't invest in knowing all of that stuff, you're not helping that client.
Yeah. Yeah, so
not to
I agree. Even as a solo agent, you need SOPs because, once you get busy and you get more business, it may be too late for you to, oh man, what did I do like two months ago for that one that really worked? And I don't remember. How do you replicate that so that way the new listing or the new buyer you got performs the same, right? If you don't have system and processes, you're just going to be spinning your head around. I know agents who show buyers 50, 60 homes before they even make a decision or they give up. And it's like, why did you do that? After every
hmm
10 homes that I show in my process, it says I need to sit down with them and have another consultation with them and strategy to see if maybe anything has changed because we go so deep in our buyers consults that we shouldn't be showing more than 10 homes. And if we do, it's because something changed on their end and it wasn't communicative, right? If I never had that in my procedure to do, I'll be showing them 50 or 60 homes. By that time, it's like, if you do the math, we're almost upside down, especially because we don't get paid until everybody closes and signs and the deal's funded, right? And so I think it's super important for you as a solo agent to start these procedures now and document everything now of what you do, even if it's I need to wake up and go to the office, and during the office I need to do XYZ. Put that into your daily SOPs, right? Because it's going to help streamline things as you get busier and more productive as an agent. And if you ever do consider joining or being creating your own team, how are you going to train anybody, right? If you don't have these things in place. Hey, this is what made me successful in 10 years. Look at my processes and stuff. This is where you should start as an agent on my team because I have a proven track record for 11 years of doing business and we've tweaked our SOPs every year because things change, the markets change, we got to do things different, we come up with new ideas, but this is where you should start. Right. So I think
Yep.
it's super important for solo agents to do it. And then even agents who are been in the business 10, 5 years and you haven't started, start now. You got to start now. You got to document things now. So
It's funny that you mentioned the showing 10 houses. I remember back probably 2017, 2018, that was a reality. Like we had an influx of inventory and you were out there showing. And I think that's when I realized you don't need to show that many houses. Like you have to have a process in place to narrow this down. I don't think I've showed more than 4 houses to anybody since 2018. And that's because again, you learn.
yeah.
You learn how to read your client by having that consultation and having those conversations. And so if you want to be more productive, again, you have to get with people that have been through it, that have done it, and are willing to teach you. And that's how you learn it. Now, I can speak on one thing that this is happening right now, actually. And if you don't have the systems in play and you don't have the processes in play, you decide you want to join a team or you want to grow a team. How do you teach them? Because remember, you don't have time. That's why you wanted to start a team. So you don't have that time to train them. Your SOP should be so written that if a VA steps in or leaves, the next person can step into place and just pick it right up like it never existed. If not, it's just going to cause you a hurdle in your business.
Yeah.
And so now you have agents that they're still struggling and still lost. Do you look within and say, is that my fault or is that their fault? In the end, it's
Mhm.
my fault because I must not have had something set up to teach you exactly what you need to do. So, yeah, starting them no matter where you are, that's the game.
Yeah. Cool. All right, Terry, any last thoughts on SOPs or anything?
Nope, I just think that um, getting started in real estate can be hard. Even for the seasoned agents that have been here, things change every day. So get with someone that you can mentor with, get with someone that you can talk to. Don't be afraid. Don't struggle by yourself. There's always people out here that are willing to help you, hold your hand, and there's plenty of coaching groups that we can get into together that we can grow with you.
Yep, definitely. Yep, guys, if you need help, just reach out to us. Next week, we're going to have a guest on our call. His name is Ruben out of San Antonio, and he's going to walk us through some of the different types of videos that he's doing for walkthroughs that are capturing people's attention, right? Because a lot of times the videos, depending on how they're edited, how they're, transition to room or things like that. You got to capture people's attention in order for them to watch it. And so he created one, and I think it was amazing. And so he's going to kind of show us his procedures on how he does that and talk us through it. So don't miss that one next week. All right.
All right, cool. Can't
Cool.
wait.
Awesome, guys. Thank you for jumping on. See y'all later.